Roundtable Live for January 13th, 2017. I am BaerTaffy, joined by MathasGames, RockLeeSmile, Northernlion, and joining us for the 10th time is Last Gray Wolf. Welcome back, buddy. How you doing?
It's going well. Well enough, anyway.
We have to bring you on today as a balancing of the scales of justice, as we as our known Nintendo hatred it's run rampant through the course of this podcast's veins. And we got to have you here to be its saving grace.
Did you hear him last night? Because I think you picked the wrong guy.
You might go from like here to like maybe here. I think we only going to go down.
Or did we need to tip the scales down further?
We need to hit the ground with the balance.
We love them too much, don't we?
Okay.
No, we're going to be talking a lot about the Nintendo Switch today, of course, as that launch event was last night, and we've got a lot to discuss. Lots of new details about the console have just emerged. Story this week as well, Scalebound, unfortunately canceled. We'll talk about that a little bit, along with a few games this week as well. Disc Jam just coming out into, that is early access, right? I'm pretty sure that's early access or a beta of some
sort. Like if you just follow them on Twitter, they'll just give you a code.
Right. That's also the case.
It's one heck of a business model.
Yeah. There's also Factorio, which came out last year, but we've, Mathas had already played a bit of it, but we've also all had a chance now, and definitely looking forward to talking about that. And Pit People, another early access title. That's the new Behemoth joint. That is looking pretty good. And I think that is it for us. The Switch, of course, is going to be the big one this week. But let's start off with the smaller story, and that's Scalebound, which it escaped my radar a bit, and I think we were talking about this briefly before the show today. Scalebound, that new the Dragon game, more or less, from Platinum, that unfortunately
100% scientifically accurate Dragon game.
Right. Yeah. Well, what's the last time we had one of those, man? We need to keep history in the.
Yeah, there's no more historically relevant dragons anymore in video games. I think it's such bullcrap.
It's unbelievable. But Scalebound is no more. The defunct project started in 2014 with its E3 reveal. Looked pretty fun, man. Like it certainly, the marketing and the media had me a little hyped. But I will admit, I also completely lost sight of it until hearing, okay, I guess that's not going to happen anymore. That's a bummer.
I was looking forward to it. I'm kind of bummed that it's canceled. That whole kind of game, the whole sense of scale, large monsters battling each other, I feel like that's a genre of games that never works out very well. No one ever gets it quite right, so another attempt at that would have been nice to see, but looks like, from what I heard, it was Microsoft did not agree with Platinum on a lot of different issues, and that ended up killing the game. Also, apparently, they couldn't get it to run properly. Also, what I heard.
I heard it couldn't. And Microsoft had to set some hard deadlines, and they never met them. And it was just, I'm sure it was a mess on both ends. It's not one or the other.
Why does Scalebound Man wear Beats by Dre headphones around his neck?
Because he's trendy as shit. Have you seen Final Fantasy 15? This is how games are now.
I know Platinum can get away with this stuff because it's about a man who has like a dragon arm anyway to begin with, and they're kind of weird. That's some next level weirdness, I think.
He's getting on that. That's their excuse to have a killer ass soundtrack coming through into the headphones.
He's getting right up in the dragon's grill too, man. He's not having any of it shit. He is a
fucking wub step deep ass bass drops as you drop your dragon in. That game would have been so good.
It's a shame.
It's got a Devil May Cry vibe to it, which I feel like I definitely could have dug. Yeah. But yeah, that's unfortunate. We'll never get to know what was blaring through those headphones, man. If only.
I want to know right now. I didn't expect to end up with an Xbox One, honestly. This was one of the couple of games that I was like, hey, if I end up with one, this is something I'd buy.
Yeah.
And between that and the new Dead Rising, which oddly enough I bought right when it came out and still haven't played yet. So I guess I'm sort of bummed. There aren't really all that many good Xbox One games, and this is kind of right up my alley. So no more of that.
Just occurred to me, I may not want to show what little trailer footage remains of this game. They are scouring the internet, attempting to remove any trace of its existence. So hopefully the podcast doesn't get torn down.
Forget it. It didn't happen.
Yeah. Oh, man. I don't know if Platinum would like to pretend it didn't happen. They kind of seem to be just sort of brushing it under the rug. They did it. I mean, they came forward and apologized, say, hey, we're sorry we couldn't come through with this. For those of you that are disappointed. They've got a lot of projects they're working on, though, man. I mean, like Nier Automata, is coming out in March, right? That's got to be real quick coming up. And then what were you guys saying? They did Legend of Korra. That was like a couple years ago.
They were name dropping all the shitty games that Platinum's done recently.
Right,
Their last good game was Bayonetta 2. Mm-hmm. That was the last good game they dropped. Then they've also had TMNT, Legend of Korra, the Transformers game, which was like I think mediocre received. Mm-hmm. Like they're very hit or miss.
Well, like, I mean, no, hold on. Devastation. That was their most recent one. That one got pretty decent reviews, right? Transformers Devastation. That was
Transformers.
I've never heard it referred to by its subtitle.
Yeah.
That's why I said it was like.
No, I was wondering which one it was, but yeah. That one got pretty decent reviews, but I mean, I guess it's not really a standout title. But certainly, Bayonetta 2 is up there. That was not too long ago. I mean, that was what 2014, beginning of 2014, maybe.
Yeah, no, it was the summer, I think, if I remember correctly.
Summer of Love, 2014.
2014. Yeah, September 2014.
Okay.
I think if anybody could have pulled it off, though, the idea of large-ass boss battles, like Platinum does that. That's their thing.
Yeah.
They've proven that they can do that well in Bayonetta, and I assume they would have probably done an okay job with this. But if it didn't run, I guess fair enough. Microsoft want to be pushy about it. That's their prerogative.
Oh, Platinum was involved with Star Fox Zero, too.
No, we don't talk about that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do we ignore the fact that that's also a terrible game?
No.
How many free passes did they get? They're
all
taking
Platinum has made is Bayonetta 2.
They can do no wrong. Man, just ignore Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Star Fox Zero, Transformers Devastation, Legend of Korra.
Don't lump Transformers in there. It was fine.
It was all right. It wasn't amazing.
Nier Automata is getting some hype too.
Yeah. This story for me highlighted something, which is like there is like a game that exists out there called Scalebound. We're just never going to see it. Like, what happens to Scalebound? Is it just like stored in like a version controlled cloud somewhere?
No, it goes into that box at the end of the Indiana Jones movie.
Right, yeah, there you go. There's a beta game graveyard.
You've seen Grandma's Boy, right? They had a game called Demonic in that. That was an unreleased Xbox game. That's where it goes. They show up in movies 10 years down the line.
Grandma's Boy.
Sequels to Grandma's Boy at this point. Unless they re-release it. Maybe they will. I don't know.
I hope they do. Jeez.
Like if you went to Platinum's offices and you were like, can I just play like 5 minutes of Scalebound?
Show me what you got. Yeah.
Like,
that'd be cool.
Like, we have a cease and desist that says you can never look at this game.
I'm sure there's a lot of red tape, unfortunately, but
somebody's gonna bring home like the up-to-date build, and they'll be the only one. That'll be like Martin Shkreli's copy of the Wu-Tang album. It's the only person who's got a copy of Scalebound on the entire planet.
Show up on Pirate Bay.
If you go with him to the inauguration, he'll let you play it through to the first boss.
All right, yeah, that's a bummer then. Scalebound officially canceled. Word from Microsoft this week. It's official.
Bummer though. Yeah. On a conceptual level, is it a bummer? If Microsoft has put like $30 million into this game and they looked at it and they said it's not even worth coming out with, like we'd rather just cancel it right now.
Yeah.
Well, it's a bummer because it was a new IP with an interesting premise that's something
with a developer that has put out good games in the past.
No investor wants to pull the plug on millions of dollars done.
Yeah.
Like there has to be, or they're not like, man, fuck it. It's like, no, they've put millions in. There has to be a reason that this is being canceled.
Because it looked cool, my natural assumption would be it just wouldn't work. And
probably not running.
Whatever reason,
the gameplay wasn't as fun, and it was like 10 frames a second.
It's been a few years. I mean, it's very possible that whatever their plans were just cannot match up with modern day hardware or something. I don't know.
But like they released Last Guardian, right?
Yeah.
Ooh. And we can argue whether that was a good decision or a bad decision.
Yeah, you mean game of the year winner, Last Guardian,
right?
I think that game has. I think I read an article like a few days ago or whatever that the big game in its first month didn't even break 250,000 downloads, which is like horrible.
Honestly, that doesn't shock me at all. I never thought it was going to sell well. I didn't think it was going to make millions, and the fact that it is still winning awards, prestigious honors.
It should not have won.
Yeah. But anyway, I think it's a bummer. I do think it's a bummer that the game got canceled, but it is a valid point.
That's fine. But if you think it's a bummer that game got canceled because it's a cool idea and the trailer looked decent, I want us all to remember that when we go on this 45-minute discussion of the Nintendo Switch and judge like 40 games based on the quality of the trailers.
It's by Platinum, and it's their thing. That's what they do is big games with big boss battles.
I refuse to accept the argument it's by Platinum.
They would never... If it was good, they would not cancel it. Like... I mean, maybe that's giving them too much credit, but it's like, well, they're not canceling it for like political reasons, presumably. So, like,
I'm defending why I would have wanted it. It's fair that they needed to cancel it. I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying why I would have played it if it came out.
Why we would have played what we perceived it to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Would have got like 4s.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would have played it anyway, just to spite you.
Fuck you. All right, yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about the Switch then. It's the big scoop.
Can't wait.
Just last night, Nintendo
prepare to be triggered.
Yeah, okay, man. I'm not even gonna introduce this shit. First of all, let's break something down to brass tacks here. The Nintendo Switch pre-orders have basically all dried up already. The game, like, you can't even get the console anymore. They don't need our help. So before you get too mad at us, just recognize they're doing fine. They're selling like hotcakes. Everybody loves the Switch, so it's all good. We're fine with that. We're still going to talk about our criticisms.
Everybody loves the Switch.
That's right. Everybody loves the Switch.
Can we just open? Can you just put like an image on screen of the Nintendo stock value of yesterday? just to start us off here,
like a live feed. I can show you. I mean, let's have a look. Yeah, it's worthwhile consideration. It was
at 11 before the announcement, and then as the announcement went down, it dropped to 6 or whatever.
Yeah, well,
it's dumb.
You should ask Austin if he wanted to buy one before it and then after it.
Yeah, that might be a good place to start. Is that from what I saw the Switch already before this conference, I was pretty into the Switch. I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to get a Switch. I mean, I want to play Breath of the Wild. I could play on the Wii U, but, might as well get a Switch and play all the games that will eventually come out on that. Watch the conference, and I was just like, you know what? I don't think I want a Switch anymore. They actually convinced me to not buy a Switch with that conference. That's how bad I thought it was.
Can we at least all take a step back and finally now admit the Switch is just a tablet? The base... All that does is, as Nick was clarifying before this, is it basically overclocks the CPU so that it can run on 1080p televisions. It doesn't make the system like graphically any better. The Switch is a tablet.
It literally is a tablet.
That's all it is.
Yeah, no, it's true, and it runs on a tablet processor. Like the Tegra is a tablet processor.
Correct.
Right? So
it is an NVIDIA gaming tablet.
That's a fact.
NVIDIA is powering this thing.
Mm-hmm. So let's start with the console itself. Coming out March 3rd, priced at $299.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on that?
I would say that would have been its saving grace is if every other add-on wasn't gouging you for everything they could.
Mm-hmm.
The controllers being $70, an additional stand being $90.
The Pro controller being $70 in particular hurts me, man.
That's absurd.
I need that controller. My hands are too fucking big for the Joy controllers, man. I cannot hold those things. I can't
big
do
hands.
it. I got big old monkey mitts. I can't use those little kid controllers, so I'm gonna need that thing. It's $70. That's a little steep.
$300 is, I think, the most they could charge for this thing reasonably.
I'd agree with that, yeah. I was hoping for $250, but I expected $300 or maybe even more, really. But
it's going to be $400 in Canada, too.
Yeah, that's
yeah, but $400 in Canada is $300, so...
Right.
I mean, that is kind of not totally true, because it's not like when the American dollar rises, the Canadian dollar falls, salaries get adjusted upwards, but,
yeah.
I mean, it's basically the financial equivalent.
Right.
I read it was 330 euros as well, which is funny because euros are worth more than the American dollar and it's more expensive.
Which is that's not uncommon though, is it? I mean, it's shitty, but it's not unusual.
It's just lame.
Model.
those controllers are just way too expensive. I don't care if they have to be. Like, I don't care how amazing those little fucking things are. They can make you hold.
You can milk a cow and look like you're jerking off.
You can put different amounts of ice cubes into a glass.
You can
or
tell
play
when you're
rock,
holding
paper,
it.
scissors in front of the camera, and it knows.
I'm not gonna spend 110. Was 110 for the?
You
a
got
pack?
okay. See the Joy-Con, you can get a set of 2 for 80. You can get the left individual left or right controllers for $50 a pop.
That's bullshit. They should be reasonable. Like 80 for 2, 1 for 50. Who would not spend money and just buy a full set? So they understand that. They're making you do that.
For comparison's sake, let's just note that a PS4 controller at the moment is like $50, as is, I believe, an Xbox One controller. Just the the controller, the normal controller.
Right.
Where you don't
Well,
have
the
to
Xbox One Pro controller is like $1,000.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that thing
The
is.
pros are like
110, I think.
I forgot that existed.
So we're starting on a base level here. The price of everything, it's way too expensive, and that's just the beginning of all of the bad things that are gonna reveal itself for this console as we move along here.
The dock is another just interesting facet in general.
Yeah.
You mean
It's a hollow
plastic
piece of
cable.
plastic.
The piece
The
of
cable
plastic that's
management dock?
$90.
It's cable management is what it is.
But no, it
doesn't do
itself is it's overclocking the CPU on the Switch itself. That's what the dock does,
So it
right?
can run on a TV
Right.
in 1080p.
I'm assuming as well that has nothing to do with the actual dock. Like there's probably like a Bluetooth connection that happens when it's in direct proximity, and it just flips a switch somewhere in the firmware that goes, okay, we're in overclock mode now. So I don't think the dock is even required for that technically. The same way that the nunchuck things that clip to the side of it, the Joy-Cons, I don't think they actually necessarily connect to the tablet. They're just Wi-Fi enabled and sit next to it, clipped together.
Yeah, so who knows how that all functions? You've got the charging grip, right? Is that like an extra peripheral for the Joy-Con? Is that something that you can attach and detach to the Joy-Con itself?
It looked like it slid on, yeah.
Something like that. So those are another interesting little tidbit. Yeah, the just the accessories overall, yeah, it's just a little high, man. I don't know. It's difficult to justify.
Speaking of money, paid online.
Paid online. There's another really interesting one.
Yeah, you mean interesting as in it's fucking god awful?
Let's start from
what
the
appears-
beginning there, yeah.
So they're jumping into the paid online like monthly fee, monthly service that Xbox and PS4 have been doing for years now. I'm not 100% sure what bonuses you get, but I do know that you're going to get a free game a month, and by a free game a month, I'm talking like they're talking NES, SNES games, like old games.
Virtual console classics, more or less.
And at the end of that month, they take the game back, and if you want to keep playing it, you have to pay full price for it. Where PS4 just gives you games, you have to stay subscribed to play them, which makes sense, but they're not doing that. They give you a free game for a monthly that they take back.
So the first modern version of this offering was PS Plus, which has always been a pretty good value. Like basically from the beginning, they've given you pretty good free games every month. They've given you decent discounts. They've given you a reason to have it. And then Xbox Live Games with Gold started up, and that's been fairly good since its onset. You know, they're giving out decent titles through the service, but these are Nintendo and Super Nintendo games. Like
Games that you've probably bought 5 times in your lifetime.
Right.
This sounds like a sketch group is making a parody of Nintendo, but it's just
It's comically bad, the offering.
It is.
Yes,
Not only
but
Yeah, no, let me hear the butt. I'm ready.
well, you can't get these Nintendo games elsewhere, and that's always why, like, you know, for all of the bullshit Nintendo like business practices, in the end, it's like, well, if you want a legal copy of, you know, Super Mario Brothers 3, you're gonna do it. You're gonna be on the virtual console and be like, hey, you know, Balloon Fight is free this month. I'll stay subscribed for that. Like, if you really want it and you don't want to go out there and, I don't know, murder somebody for an NES classic, like,
Or just fucking emulate the game.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you can make that argument for everything.
Yeah.
You can make that argument for The Witcher 3.
They have an unbelievably inflated sense of self-worth when it comes to these games and how many times they're expecting you to buy them. I mean, Ryan, you know yourself, you bought Mario so many times. You told us that. It's crazy.
But I mean, I kept buying it. So, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying they have people buy the balls, but I'm saying there is almost like a Nintendo principle where their traditional rules don't have to apply to them. Like for all the cynicism that we're getting out here, like the Switch is going to sell like crazy.
Yep.
I'll probably get one just on the back of like Super Mario Odyssey looked cool and the Breath of the Wild trailer I thought was amazing. So I'll probably pick one up just to have it, and they're going to get me. Like I'll pay for the online.
You come to terms with it.
I've already come.
Well, you'll pay for the online, really?
Yeah, why not?
But what are you going to play on?
Wait a minute. Why not?
Yeah.
So you don't have an extra bill a month.
Well, I mean, I get that, but there's also, I mean, what is it monthly? Like,
what are you going to even play?
Yeah, what are you
going to do?
Oh, okay.
And? So you just
Well,
I mean, that's it for now. But like, we pay for PS Plus, and I probably use it like twice a year. And to the same extent, I'm like, I'd just like to have it in case I want to play something. But I mean, I think that's what people are going to be in for on the Switch is that, I think Splatoon 2 is going to sell like crazy. Splatoon 1 is like the Wii U game that has an evergreen like player base. Kay was playing it like a year and a half after release and still getting games all the time. Mind you, everybody was Japanese, but...
Well, so we've accelerated the conversation a little bit. Let's do talk about then like the lineup coming up. Starting with what we have out of the gate, which is not too many, unfortunately. We've got 4 confirmed launch titles, plus 1 kind of unconfirmed, but apparently is pretty likely. You've got 1-2 Switch, which I learned today that's not going to be packaged with the Switch. That's going to be a $50 standalone title.
$50?
Yeah, $50 for 1-2 Switch.
It's not even really a video game either. Like, you don't look at a screen, you just like point at each other and do stuff.
I was watching videos of it. It looks terrible. It
Can
looks
you explain
hilarious.
what it is? Because it didn't come across in their trailer.
A group of party games like you'd
It's a
find
minigame collection, right?
Yeah, in Mario Party, something like that.
Yeah.
But it uses all the funky motion controls and sensors on the Switch controllers. It's like a worse Wii Sports. It's a huge gimmick game.
But it's like a board game more than a video game, right? Like you don't really use
honestly
the Switch screen.
No, it's the visual representation of what you're doing with the controller, pretty much.
From what I saw with the ping pong title, there's nothing actually happening between you two, right? It's just you're using the Switch controller, and it's just kind of like make-believe? Where you're just like hitting a ball back and forth. I think it only ran on audio cues, because like you can't look at the Switch to see where you're hitting, right? That wouldn't make any sense. You're just like going based off what you hear. Which,
what the fuck are they selling us?
I don't Well, no, I don't understand now that I'm saying that out loud. I don't understand how that works.
It's like a Casio game, like keyboard thing where it makes sounds sometimes. What is this?
Does it like so? You hit the ball with the Switch control. I gotta pull up the fucking trailer here. Hold on. Switch 1-2 Switch.
Where there's 2 dudes milking a cow, and it looks like
there's that one too. Yeah, but
we are getting milked pretty hard, Mathas. You're right.
Switch ping pong. Where's this video? Hold on. Is this it?
Is the game where you count the ice cubes in it at least?
Okay, here we go. I'm going to get our podcast pulled down for having this 30-second clip on it. But like,
this one's not going up on YouTube. Tell you that right now.
This is what they're doing. Like, this is the game 1-2 Switch table tennis. And the only thing on the Switch is, this is a still image on the Switch, so I don't know what this is actually supposed to represent. But they're just playing pretend ping pong. And I don't understand what the game is.
We could do that right now if you want.
Yeah.
You put on your Vive headset and then see how you feel about the value proposition of pretend ping pong. We were literally talking about virtual reality dodgeball last week as being like a reason to never have to exist in the real world.
This is completely different. When I'm playing virtual reality dodgeball, I can see it and I can interact with it. But when I'm playing the Switch game, as far as I can tell, I don't have anything.
And
servicing
VR
that
is a like
need.
generational leap in technology, while the Switch is a fucking tablet. You can't compare them.
Come on, do we really have to talk about this? This isn't even a real question.
Here's where I come from. I'm being contrarian, but I think the cynicism is a little over the top, because what would make you happy with the Switch, except for the fact that it was cheaper, free online. They announced that it wasn't even coming out and all of their games were coming to PC, and they announced a new Metroid game.
It was cheaper. The dock did something. So the dock didn't make it a fucking tablet. They didn't charge $70 for their fucking controllers. And from what people have been saying, Zelda and games ran at a reasonable frame rate and isn't like a big pile of like 20 FPS when it comes out.
Let me tell you,
it's not that much to ask for.
Some games would be a good start.
okay, let me get to that.
I want to get to the game too. Like,
let me tell you like why, because I'm not 100% against it, but all of these are valid criticisms. We just lined them up in a row here. We're kind of just knocking them out one by one. But I'm actually encouraged by, well, first of all, Breath of the Wild looks fucking great. I'm super excited to play that, but I can play that on the Wii U as well, so that's important to know. The launch day, there's nothing, just because it's 1-2 Switch, Breath of the Wild, Skylanders, and Just Dance.
There's nothing?
I'm serious! Launch
There's
day,
Zelda!
there are 5
Zelda
games, one of which is not an exclusive.
Do you know what was the Wii U exclusive on launch day? Nintendo Land.
And how well has the Wii U done?
I don't care about how Nintendo's business does. I'm just saying Zelda as like a launch title is important.
I wouldn't
PS4 launched with knack. Like knack.
Yeah, the PS4 launch was garbage too. I'm not gonna sit there and jerk off PS4. PS4 was a terrible launch, and so was Xbox's. Launches for consoles suck. Wait a year.
Don't freak out when I say nothing when I mean it, because Breath of the Wild is not the console exclusive. It's available on the Wii U. Skylanders is not critical for anyone. 1-2 Switch is a minigame collection, and Just Dance is Just Dance. That's the entire.
I agree that the other ones are relatively meaningless, but to say that Zelda is not like a launch day coup is a little ridiculous.
But the fact that it's on Wii U takes away so much of the momentum from it.
I disagree.
You have to sell me more on just Zelda, though, because I have a Wii U. Like, you need to tell me that I'm going to be able to buy more games that I will enjoy that isn't just Zelda, because if not, then I'm just going to get on the Wii U. I have no reason to have the Switch in there.
Converting a Wii U owner to a Switch is...
That's a hard sell on launch day.
And you're looking at the biggest Zelda piece of shit fanboy in this group here. Like, I am enamored with Breath of the Wild, but I'm not going to buy a Switch for it if I can.
I have a couple of things to say. One of which is I think you guys are vastly overestimating the amount of people who own a Wii U on planet Earth right now. The second thing is I think people will buy in for the novelty. Like, I got a Wii around launch. It was like a month after launch, and it was just Wii Sports. But Wii Sports was pretty cool. And then a month after that, I was like, Zelda, absolutely. Is 2 games enough? Like, I would say that probably not. But where I'm kind of struggling here is the idea that, like...
I don't want to... I agree with you that I think Zelda's an amazing launch title. I'm not saying that it's not. I am concerned about it because the people that are there, and I know a few of them are there, people who played Zelda say the frame rate is horrible right now, and they hope that it's good when it launches, but it's bad, so
is that
worries.
On Switch?
On the Switch. They say it's as bad as it is on the Wii U. Like, it's on par. But you can't. I have a hard time comparing the Switch to the Wii because when the Wii came out, motion control was new. It was a gimmick that sold the console. What is Switch's gimmick?
That was my question. I wanted to follow up on that. You say you're bought into the gimmick, but what is the gimmick to you for the Switch?
That it's just new. Like, not a new product, but a new way of having input, basically. The same reason I bought into VR, basically as a proof of concept. I mean, we could talk about how VR is transformative, but there are nil, like, experiences that actually deliver on that beyond being tech demos or glorified tech demos.
Yeah.
And here's, to again, steer it back, I don't know what you want out of a console, because people would probably be like, well, you know, I don't need the Switch. I've already got like a PS4 or an Xbox One.
Right.
I mean, those are worse PCs for the most part. The Switch is at least trying to pivot off of that and deliver something that is not just, hey, you can like play Steam games in inferior versions on your TV in your living room more easily.
I agree with you. I want to say, too, that I am actually super excited about the prospect of something like the Switch's ability to allow me to play Breath of the Wild on that console, like on a plane, you know, like putting the Switch on my tray table and having a Pro controller and having basically like a full-fledged Zelda Breath of the Wild experience. That sounds
If
fucking
your flight
great.
is less than 2.5 hours.
Sure, yeah. There's a lot of caveats there too, but like that concept and the fact that they're pushing in that direction, that's encouraging. And as I mentioned, like they've got a couple of titles in the launch window that are exciting as well. But again, there's nothing at launch that is extremely encouraging. But they've got the new Mario. Let's talk about that actually for a bit. The Mario Odyssey.
I'm trying to see where people are coming from who are looking at this going, holy shit, this Mario game looks amazing. It looked weird and it visually not good.
I will say this about Mario. I have faith in Mario. I do too. Disappointed in a Mario game in years. I've loved Mario. Odyssey looks weird, but I don't think it's gonna I'm excited for Mario. I think Mario's probably gonna be good.
I mean, 10 years ago they sent Mario to space. I mean,
it was awesome.
I'm not saying that it's gonna be good, but I don't necessarily think that anything based on the trailer makes me think that it's gonna be horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't think it looked horrible gameplay wise. Like it was weird to me because they showed like the first 75% of the trailer. I couldn't see any Mario stuff. I didn't know what the game was. I think we all agreed that we didn't know.
Rob said something like it looks like a game that they were making that was a new IP, and then they decided to just put Mario in it to sell it.
It was so weird. But then the final like quarter of the trailer was like, oh, here's all the Mario stuff, and that kind of like got me back. But it was really confusing, and I need to see more of that game before I go, holy shit, Mario's back. You know, since how long has it been?
New Donk City, baby.
Yeah, New Donk. That's so good, man.
The city, by the way, is just a Mario-sized level.
Yes, it's a level.
Yeah.
People were tweeting like Mario in an open world. I'm like,
I don't know where they were getting that impression other than they just sort of extrapolated that from it being a city that it would be large. But you can see the borders of it on 3 sides, and it's structured like a Mario level.
Yeah, when they do like a quick zoom out, and you can see like the level itself. But I think Mario's got all the good will in the world for me. I'm definitely. It looks weird. It looks Sonic 06-ish with its like bizarre Mario and then like real life humans.
Yeah.
But if it's fucking good, then it's fucking good. Like maybe the real life humans are only in that weird level. Like it's very possible that they only exist in that city level. And as you go to other levels, you're dealing with more Mario like stuff.
But that is holiday 2017, and that's still tentative. So
they didn't even have a gameplay demo yet.
You can't quite get excited about that one yet. You got Sonic Mania, which I'm a little excited for, but that's also coming out on PC, Xbox, and actually I think that's on PS4.
Don't be excited about Sonic Mania and force me to switch from the guy who is like defending excitement and then become the guy who's like, really?
Good.
New Sonic
Do
game,
it.
though?
I want you to.
Yeah, I can't wait for Sonic Mania. I want nothing more
so
than
excited.
Sonic Mania.
You replay yourself. Get your pre-orders in for Sonic Mania.
I'm not going to defend Sonic Mania. I don't have to defend Sonic Mania. ARMS. Is anybody else excited for ARMS? I actually thought that looked kind of fun.
No.
No?
No. It's $60. That's not a $60
really?
game.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
It's a
weird.
$60 game.
I wonder what searching ARMS is going to get me on Google right now.
It's gonna
Really
be
great
weird, I can tell
SEO.
you
Oh, hey, it actually worked. Look at that.
It looks like a cool idea, but it looked like another kind of tech demo-y game. Like it didn't look like a real $60 complete experience. Maybe it is, but you need to show the consumer that these things are what they are. And I don't feel like I was showed that at all for a lot of the games they revealed.
Yeah.
It seemed like a thing you would get for your Vive that would be $10.
Yeah.
It's like, look, you can fight your friends in Spring World, and everybody's arms are long.
Top stories for ARMS. Nintendo's motion-controlled ARMS is a fun but frustrating fighting game. And Todd Gurley welcomes new Rams coach Sean McVay with open arms.
You mean with arms wide open?
Right.
630 or something.
What else you got? Super Bomberman R, which apparently is just sort of a remake of the original Bomberman. That is supposedly going to be a launch title, but nothing's actually been confirmed about that yet. You got Snipper Clips, which does look really good. That I saw the
haven't seen that one.
I saw the 13 minutes of gameplay for that. It looks like a ton of fun. I'd love to play that with Elise co-op. It's this adorable little kind of puzzle platformer where you operate these two bullet-shaped, cute little characters, and you can move over each other and snip off parts of the other player, and then you can use the new formations of the character to kind of solve different tasks, like fit into different puzzle pieces and that kind of thing. So it's neat. I like it. I think
they've got a problem here. I typed in snipper clips on the YouTube, and it said, "Did you mean sniper clips?"
Perfect.
It's funny.
Then you got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe coming out about a month after the launch, which is going to include, I guess, a battle mode for Mario Kart, which will be fun. I was never a huge battle mode player in Mario Kart, but that'll be good for some folks, I bet. And then they're introducing the Splatoon characters to Mario Kart 8, so hooray!
Now you can pay for it to play online.
You got Splatoon 2, which there's plenty of people excited
that's
for, I'm
cool.
sure. Mm-hmm. And then Skyrim and NBA and FIFA. There's a few others as well. You got like the new Shin Megami Tensei. It's unconfirmed what that is, but apparently that's coming around. Then the Dragon Quest 10 and 11, or 11 and 12. And then
It was two of them. I think it was 10 and 11.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was Xenoblade something.
Right, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Quite a few JRPGs, actually. So that was, if you're a fan of that genre, you got quite a few to look forward to there. There are like 80 titles in development, with 50 or so within the launch window. Or sorry, no, I'm reading that wrong. That's 80 in development right now, and not confirmed how many are in the launch window right now. But at the moment, it looks like within a month of release, there will be about a dozen or so titles available. So it's gonna take a bit. I think the conclusion really that I reach examining everything is it's not a great launch day buy, but I think it's got the potential by holiday 2017, especially if there's a price cut, to be a pretty strong offering.
You know how much memory they're putting in this thing? And it's not as big a problem as I'm about to frame it, but 32 gigabytes.
That's not enough.
Very small.
Needs to be more.
Though the situation is, in this case, we're dealing with rewritable memory cards, so you mostly won't need as much space. That's the hope anyway. But if you're downloading things, you're going to need to buy an SD card to expand. And you can at least do that, which, plenty of other consoles don't let you. You can expand the memory out to larger. I think it takes up to 2 terabyte cards, which I don't know how much those cost. It's probably quite a bit.
It's probably not nearly as much these days, though, is it?
I don't know. It might be like $300.
Damn, really?
Let's look it up.
I think we're agreeing on we're disagreeing on the whole games lineup being good or bad for this year. But I think we can all still agree that these pricings for the controllers and just the console itself has still a significant amount of issues for consumers.
Yeah.
Battery life doesn't seem good. I think this is a bigger deal. A lot of people have big hands. You're kind of screwing over the big hand people market here with these things.
I'm absolutely right there with you. I feel like it's ridiculous.
He held up the controllers on stage. I couldn't see the controllers. They were so small.
Camouflage.
Yeah, it looked like he was doing magic tricks. He was like this, and then they were gone.
Yeah. But the whole console is like the size of a new 3DS. It's a
just
very
a bit bigger
small
than a new
thing.
3DS scale.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was based on that first trailer or if I just fundamentally misunderstood, but I honestly thought it was larger than they showed it to be now.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was more like a full handful, like this kind of thing, instead of you know what I mean? I'm doing gestures for the audio listeners.
Yeah. So, all right, final thoughts then. Breath of the Wild is the launch day seller. But
and if it's maybe this is moving the goalposts because there's only 6 consoles that can even compete with this. But if that's a masterpiece, it's the best console launch in 12 years, something like that is my perception of it, at least. The Wii U launched with basically nothing. Xbox One, Rise, as well as Forza and Dead Rising 3. All games that have endured well into the modern era as classics. And, you know, the PS4, you got Knack and the Killzone Shadowfall game, also renowned as a modern classic. You go back to like maybe the Wii launch was actually Wii Sports was pretty good, but what else? You're buying like, you know,
I remember when I bought my
Woods
Wii.
or FIFA or something.
Yeah,
Elebits.
I bought the Dragon Ball Z fighting game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Wii launch.
I mean, it's fair to say that, like, if by your standards in a vacuum this launch isn't strong enough, but relative to other console launches, it's at least competitive, I think. Like, one great game is better than the average console does at launch. The PS2 system seller at launch was a puzzle game where you, like, rhythmically tap buttons to light fireworks displays. Like 3 months, Fantavision was, like, the only game that people recommended that you buy on PS2.
I feel like it is such a low bar, though, that they know they can do better, and they've kind of had a dearth of much of anything during most of the last years of the Wii U, so why couldn't they have shifted resources to make this a more exciting launch?
I guarantee you they did, though. I bet you they did pull resources from Wii U and funneled it into Switch development. I think for Wii U owners, which there are few, buying a Switch at launch is a poor decision. There's no need. Unless for some reason Breath of the Wild performs like 1,000 times better on the Switch, which early indications as of right now are not. I'm aware that what they're presenting at their conference right now is the same build that was at E3. So that's maybe why there are still frame issues even on the Switch one. But for new console owners who didn't buy a Wii U, I mean, maybe grabbing a Switch is a smart decision. For me, I'll wait. I'll wait until Mario hits, probably. When Mario hits, I'll probably end up grabbing it.
Do we want to talk about Breath of the Wild in its own little kind of segment? Since I feel like it like I will say, all the negativity aside, the Breath of the Wild trailer took me to another universe. It was so good.
Well, you gotta elaborate there.
I'm a big geek for music, and the music in that trailer, it sounds like some of the best I've heard since like the old days of Zelda. It was unbelievable, and I think it's a new composer. I heard it's the composer who did some other Animal Crossing. So I can't remember her name, but that alone was amazing, and voice acting. That's huge. That, I mean, I don't know if you guys heard the English and the Japanese version, because we got the Japanese version during the presentation. And I was surprised to say the English version, I thought it was going to be bad, and it was like slightly above average, which I'm fine with. Like,
that's good to hear.
Big worry about Zelda voice acting is that it's going to be terrible, and the fact that it wasn't terrible is good enough for me, because that would be such a bad thing to like play the game and the voice actors it sounds like it's something out of the 90s or something.
Yeah.
But it looks incredible. It looks like it could be, and this is probably me being overexcited, it could be the best Zelda game ever if it lives up to the expectations that it seems to be setting.
I'm looking forward to it, absolutely. I've gone on record as not being the biggest Zelda guy, and this has got me hyped up. And again, though, it's not enough. As a Wii U owner, like, okay, I might need to like preface my entire Switch opinion with the fact that I'm a Wii U owner then, because it changes, I guess, my approach to everything here. If I didn't own the Wii U, I may very well be inclined to pick up the Switch for Breath of the Wild.
I'd be forced to.
Yeah, I suppose so at this point. But yeah, I
mean, I have a Wii U also. I just still think they can do better.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there.
I mean, we've dealt with 2 generations now of like slowly diminishing expectations from Nintendo, and now it feels like they're scraping the bottom of the barrel to release anything. It feels like, oh, by the grace of God, they've given us a game. Thank God, Nintendo still exists.
Well, yeah, like their last big first party release was probably Super Mario Maker, right? And then before that,
I don't know. They're just off the radar for me. It's like sometimes a game comes out, but for like a year, you might not hear anything new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No,
and they need to make a new
low bar.
Game. Let's just not dismiss that.
It's not even about Metroid. It's just
I know it's not, but I don't want to dismiss it. Like that's not a big deal. That's awful what they've done with that series.
People in chat are like, it runs at 60 FPS on the Switch.
Where does that info come from?
It doesn't come from anywhere. I'm looking right now. There's 17 minutes of Switch gameplay. It like there's texture pop in and it looks low FPS. Jared tweeted that the FPS on the Switch is as bad as the one that was at the Wii U on the E3. So I think it's just hope that people are saying this, but I have not seen. I'm like actively looking for a news source that says it runs at 60 FPS, and there just isn't one.
That's a big if true, but we're gonna wait to verify the if true.
So we're just gonna assume it's true because some people want it to be. Chat, come on, guys.
No, it's a big if
So
true.
apparently they said it runs at 60 FPS, but what they've presented is not 60 FPS. So yeah, and they said No Man's Sky was going to be good. So let's just not worry about what other people say. Let's see what comes out in March.
We can't, man. It's like
They've got 2 months.
I need a chart behind me. It's like weeks without mentioning No Man's Sky. It's just gonna be a goose egg.
You don't need
forever.
a chart. You need a painting of the number 0.
All right, cool. But yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I'm on that Breath of the Wild hype train.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, see, see that link right there. They're targeting 60 FPS. Let me know when it does run at 60 FPS.
That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, everybody. Want to talk about a game we universally like? I think. I hope. That'd be
Yeah.
Miss
No.
Jam.
Now there's a game that doesn't run at 60 FPS.
Just saying, it runs fine for me.
I haven't played
Just saying.
it. I watched a video of it though. It looked fun.
Yo, that's about all you need. Who wants to take this one while I get this going?
I'll take it.
All right.
This jam is an isometric 3-dimensional online multiplayer version of Pong, except instead of a ball, you have a frisbee. So you can add like different kinds of shots to it, like spins, and there's special shots that are almost impossible to block. You can play 1v1 online. You can play 2v2 online. And from a conceptual level, it's a little bit like Rocket League in that it's an accessible analog to sports games while being original enough in its own right that you're not intimidated because you don't know anything about how to throw a frisbee.
Mm-hmm.
One of the positives I see of the game immediately, that I excited to play a little bit on my own the other day, is that there seems to be a relatively high skill ceiling, which is usually a really good starting place for competitive games like these, or 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2 games like these. And I played like 2 different games. I would say 3 different games. One where I played an opponent who just got utterly destroyed. They couldn't score a single point against me. I played a very, very even match where both of us were at the same skill level, and it was a very fun and close game. And I played a third game where I felt like I had to go lie down. I got so beat. It was awful. And that's good because that shows that there's significant steps of skill.
Yes.
Which is the same thing with Rocket League. Like it's very good for a competitive game to have that healthy branches of skill.
Definitely. I got that vibe too. Like it was almost immediate as well. Like I got through the tutorial, which I think the tutorial could use a little bit of work. I think it needs like a couple more visual aids to actually indicate to you how to do the advanced moves, because it's still a little confusing with the wording. But even just going through the tutorial, I was like, oh man, it looks kind of simple, but there's a lot more to this than I initially suspected, right? Just the ability to curve your shots in more ways than one, the variety of throws. I mean, there's 2, but like it just every little element adds and compounds with all the other stuff and creates this anywhere from like a basic to a ridiculously advanced level of execution that you are capable of performing, which is really encouraging. There's a lot more to it than I think we're even playing right now, to be honest. Like I'm pretty sure at our level we are beginner to maybe less than average skill at this point.
Yeah.
There's some subtlety to the controls that makes it a little more nuanced. There's some minor stuff where you can lob it, you can put some curve on it at the last minute. There's those turbos. There's going to be unlockables in the full game with different specials and stuff. So there's a little bit of expandability that's supposed to encourage you to play the solo version. I personally don't think I'll be doing that, but I've enjoyed the multiplayer with you guys. It seems to work mostly pretty well.
Yeah, and the big thing that would make it so much more accessible is if they integrated like the way that Rocket League matchmaking can work. So right now, and I understand because it's still early, but you can play 1v1, But the only ways to do that are to have two people and play against one another or queue into the matchmaking system. But if you want to play 2v2, you have to have 4 people. Like, you can't just queue with one friend and match up with other doubles partners.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And maybe right now that's just because, you know, if you check Steam charts, the player base is still growing. And I think that's why they're giving out codes like crazy. And maybe eventually it'll have like a free-to-play model or something. But they need to get like a lot of people in the game, and they don't necessarily maybe want to split them across 20 different game modes or something like that. But it would be nice, because there's been times where we're like, hey, you want to play some Disc Jam? And we get 3 people. And we're like, all right, I guess we can't. And so it's unfortunate, but
I mean, chat's like exclusively just saying it's just Windjammers. Like, here's a picture of Windjammers. The scope can be different. There's no like copyright on the idea of tennis or Pong. I don't know what the big deal is. It's like, yes, there's another game that functions like this.
Yeah. Like this one, it executes its idea extremely well. It's about all I'm requiring, honestly. Like, it's these kinds of games, I guess the Rocket League-esque games, which I mostly say that because of the quick chat, honestly. But like, they're just such simple kind of sports-driven ideas, and so long as you are executing on that extremely well in both gameplay mechanics and presentation, it's about all I care about, really. And they did really well here. 2-man team as well, which is pretty impressive. Kind of blew me away to find that out. I think that's just about it, though, right? Not much complexity to this one. Disc Jam.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
If you like Rocket League, I'm not saying it's exactly the same, but if you like that kind of game, give it a shot. You'll probably enjoy it.
Not yet available on Steam, but as we mentioned, you can go on their Twitter account, which is, do you know what that handle is, Ryan, off the top of your head?
Yeah, it's like, some combination of high horse and entertainment. Okay. So I'm thinking it might be High Horse Ents on Twitter.
Let's see. I'm going to try it out. Not quite there. Hold on, we'll get there.
Give me a second.
We'll figure it out. It's not
High Horse Games. That's correct.
Oh, yep, there you go. You got it, man.
High Horse Games.
All right. At High Horse Games. Tell them Roundtable sent you.
Yeah, I'll copy paste it. Chat.
I'm sure they'll love getting 100 tweets. All right.
If you sign up on their website, I've heard anecdotally they will send you a code within a few hours. So
dope. Oh yeah. Okay. We want to talk about Factorio a little bit. The game came out the beginning of last year. Well aware of that. I know. We didn't get around to it, and I feel bad about that because, my God, Factorio is really good.
It's amazing.
It's a really good game.
The game does not have 98% on Steam for no reason.
Austin, tell me about it.
It is a strategy kind of logistical systems game where your goal is to basically do a thing, automate it, move on to the next thing, and continue that trend where you're essentially making things and then automating making those things until you eventually, I guess the end goal at this point is to make a rocket to go to space, but that's really not that's just kind of there to be there. Really, the goal of the game is to just build these insanely complex systems of conveyors and furnaces and machines, and to basically build a huge factory that expands the whole level. And it sounds complicated. It sounds like one of those games where you're like, logistical math addition. I don't want to do that. It presents it so well that it ends up being fun, even if you're not good at those kinds of things.
Very well put.
And we're doing a series on it too.
Yeah. I'm completely entranced. I haven't seen this trailer before, but it's showing the creation process from ore to factory to train to other part to bigger factory to, oh man. And yeah, this is actually a great visual representation of the level of satisfaction you get from the game as well, because oh man, as someone who is certainly not going to boot up any Zachtronics games in his immediate future, playing Factorio is really satisfying and totally approachable too. It's not exactly the most intuitive game in the world, but for the level of complexity at play here, it does an extremely good job of making it at least digestible to just about every player.
It functions on an iterative level, which I think does it a great service, because I was actually against playing this at first. I wanted to dabble in it, but I didn't think I'd be able to handle it.
Same,
and after
yeah.
we started to do a little bit of a dance around some of the first bits, it started to make sense. You're dealing with a small concept, then scaling it up, then integrating multiple concepts into an even larger one. And it's kind of like you're building microchips out of physical conveyor belts and physical machines. And there's less actual moving parts involved than it looks like there are. After a while, you kind of get used to the flow of this is what you need to do to make X happen, and then you're making X turn into Y, and then Y turn into Z. But sometimes you got to make X turn into Z also sometimes, and there's variations, and also there's enemies that show up too and don't like your pollution. So there's like a whole bunch of different elements that come in with that, where there's actually like physical defense you have to do, upgrading technology and weapons. And it feels a little bit like you're playing StarCraft at some points, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't expect to be as into it as I am, and I'm enjoying it quite a bit. More fun in multiplayer, I think, than solo, but largely because it takes some of the pressure off of you individually having to learn every part of building a factory. And it's a very cool feeling when you can all work together towards a greater good like that.
Yeah, and it's like, it reminds me of, remember like the first time you played Minecraft and you're like, my goal is to get like a powered minecart that takes me from like my base to this deposit of something or this cave. And then you spend like 4 hours making that happen. And then you ride in a little powered minecart over there and you're like, I'm the smartest person on earth. Factorio is that, but those like epiphanies happen at an alarming pace. And they scale up in complexity, but they only take like, half an hour or an hour to get to each one. So you start and you're like, okay, so we're going to like build a tool and then mine up like a little stone, a little coal, a little copper, and some wood ourselves. And then you get like a furnace and you're like, cool, I built a furnace. And then you're like, okay, well, we'll use some of that and we'll smelt some ore and we'll make a mining drill. And then you're like, okay, so now I got a mining drill and a furnace. And the next one is like, hey, wouldn't it be sweet if a conveyor belt just carried the ore from the drill straight into the furnace, and then that happens, and you're like, this is a new world. I could literally just not do anything, and I have like unlimited amounts of resources coming in. And then it's about like what you do with it. So you really do, the first time you look at it, you're like, whoa, we can make like automatic arms. And then 45 minutes later, you're like, we have automatic arms making a machine that makes automatic arms. It puts those automatic arms into a box that another automatic arm pulls out of and then like makes things out of those arms. Like it scales up so quickly that it's really cool. And Nick is right that when you hit like a certain level of complexity, it's reusable. Like once you get there, you're like, okay, that's sorted. Now I don't think in terms of like ore. I think in terms of circuits. And then you get past that and you're like, now I think in terms of advanced circuits. Now I think in terms of like filter loaders and stuff, or filter inserters. And it's very incremental. Or whatever the word is for like the adventure capitalist style of games.
Which is, I think, partially why I was drawn to it after I understood what the hell I was doing. Because, again, the beginning is a little confusing, but once you start to get your head around it in like maybe 2 hours, you kind of have a good idea of it. And the UI is laid out in such a way that like everything you have in your inventory is something you kind of need to use. And it doesn't seem that intuitive until you realize that like you're going down a list, essentially, to build everything to go down another list. And I really like this metaphor that it is kind of like a visual way of designing circuitry, like an engineering circuitry, like in Shenzhen.io, where you're building little factories that sort of represent electrical current flow that feeds into other places. And I know that sounds like a really ridiculous abstraction, but once you get into the mode of like thinking that way, it really feels like you're making microchips onto a circuit board, and then the circuit board goes into a computer, and you're like building a whole computer. I don't know. That got me going for some reason.
You are right. Like it is programming in like a visual language, basically. Yeah. Like you're not going to make like a I guess you could in theory make a Factorio display. You could make like a 128 by 128 display with lights or something that only turn on under specific criteria.
I heard they made a video player actually.
Yeah, man.
We're probably not going to get there in our series, is my guess. That seems like you got to be like a mad genius. But it really is just programming. You're like, here's my puzzle. I need to get from A to like L. So I need to like make A into B, take A and B and make C, use C to like power the research to get to a new level of the tech tree, and then C plus A now becomes like J, and then you get the idea. But it's actually where it succeeds in that, unlike a Zachtronics game, which I love, but it's like, hey, read the manual. Like, if you want to learn how to play this game, here's like a 15-page PDF. And I think that's important for that kind of experience. But Factorio is like, don't worry about it, dude. Beat the shit out of trees with your hands. Beat the shit out of those rocks with your hands. Make a furnace. Like, you're with me so far? Now just make a belt that connects, make a drill, make a belt, connect those two. And then, like, the light goes off in your head. And you're like, oh, like, the possibilities are endless here. I don't have to do anything.
I think it's
surprisingly intuitive. Like the way that the belts and the hands work, like you don't really have to be all that careful about what you're doing. It just kind of starts to snap together.
Yeah,
which is a big part of it too. It's not a 3D game. You only have one viewpoint that you're looking down at everything from, so you get very used to the way things fit.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bear. Go ahead.
Just the way that this is such a complex game. The fact that there's almost no tutorialization is a testament to how well it's designed. Because you don't need someone to pop up with a tooltip like, okay, now here's how you make a burner, and here's how you connect all these things together. Now you're playing with copper. Wow. There's not like a prospector down in the corner telling you what to do. You figure it out. Yeah, well, that should be a mod
when you play solo, there's like 10 tooltips that pop up.
Oh, there are. Okay, so
it's not like a long tutorial. It just says, hey, this can do this. This is this. This is this.
Okay,
go.
I didn't know that, but
yeah.
All the same though, like we didn't need that. We just sort of we put the pieces.
Well, we had
together.
Rob.
We did have Rob as well, but like, okay, so let me dial that back a bit then, apparently, because that's setting an unfair precedent. But at the same time, I think just the overall point stands that the way that they introduce new systems over time is unbelievably well designed to the point where you're actually able to figure it out without someone having to hold your hand, more or less.
Right. I see some people in chat. I want to make a point because I see people in chat going, oh, this game doesn't look for me. They're watching the trailer like, oh, this is definitely not my game. Mm-hmm. I had the exact same reaction
totally.
When I saw
I was trying to fight against it because I thought I wouldn't be able to understand this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was like, there's no way I'd ever play this game. This is a Rob game. This is a Ryan game. This is not my game. It's never been happy to be so wrong. It is. I am enjoying it. I've been playing it solo, playing it with these guys, playing it with Rob, and we've just been playing the shit out of it. It's so much fun. I highly recommend you at least give it a shot.
I think even maybe like especially if you don't think this is your kind of game, it would be a great way to break into the genre just because it's a different kind of satisfaction to do something like this. Where if you're playing through fucking Contra, you blast your way through to the end and you've destroyed easily 1,000 enemies and been like, cool, yeah, that was fun. I got to kill a bunch of shit. But there's this problem solving and mechanical drive to this that really it's a whole new dopamine release, man. It's so fun.
It's continuously being updated too. There's an update about to come out that has like nuclear power coming. Science Packs 4.
I saw Science Pack 5 in a picture.
Is it?
The blue. They had blue, green, red, yellow, and then there was like one more.
Purple is Alien Science Packs.
Oh yeah, that's the Alien.
But they're having a new Science Pack coming out in this new update, and I saw some of the schematics for the new nuclear power. It looks insane. So cool.
As the caretaker of the science manufacturer, make less science packs, please. It's just. Every single one requires like a quantum leap in our production.
That's the fun part of it.
It's crazy how much more complex they get, man. It's like from 2 to 3 is this entire new realm of technology. It's
Science Pack 1 is like you need like copper and iron.
Yeah.
Science Pack 2, you need to make your own automatic arms and then copper, iron, and a circuit. Science Pack 3 is like you need to put like a train in a speaker in order to get it to function. So.
You need
what do you make Science 3 out of? Oh, like a Boeing 747 and 2 iron plates.
Well, I'm hoping by the time we get to alien technology, maybe they'll have conveyor belts that go through transporters so you can just have places not connected.
Yeah,
and just link them somehow. Like that's what I'm hoping, that it'll scale in a way that makes all the inefficiency of the conveyor belt mass and like Spaghetti World not a thing anymore. and then we could go and build a base somewhere else and start from scratch. It'll take like 5 seconds.
I wouldn't be surprised to see, like, they have a lot of just really great quality of life stuff that is built in as well, as far as like the ability to improve upon what you've already built just by building over it for the most part on a lot of things, like your conveyor belts, your chests. Yeah, the sorting is great. It's all just, it works. Most of it, if not just about all of it, just works the way you'd expect it to, which is so satisfying. Especially
love the research as well. There's so many research options, and some of them are actually meaningfully awesome. Like, one just opens up 10 more things in your toolbar, which is like, okay, awesome, great, now we're good.
Right.
And it's just got this incremental, and I hate to use this word, it's not really applicable, but it feels Metroidvania to me, in that you're making forward progress that ratchets up, and everything you do from that point on is going to be this much more efficient. And when you're doing that with a bunch of friends, it's like we're all benefiting to the same end, and we're all working on the same project together, and we all have our own little specializations. Mm-hmm. Like, I was the iron guy for a while, and then I became the oil guy, and then I became the, like, nuclear, well, I'm not quite there yet, but I'm going to be eventually, hopefully, the nuclear power guy. So I'm enjoying it. Looking forward to recording more.
Yeah, definitely. There's a very real danger inherent with upgrading your technology as well. As we mentioned, like they're basically like the Zerg out there in the field that will be attracted to your pollution. So the more advanced your tech becomes, the more demanding on resources it becomes, the more danger your camp is in, and the more likely, I suppose, the aliens are to come attack. So you've got to balance out all those different factors as well. And while you can, I mean, just like do the what do they call it? Safe mode or peaceful mode, whatever that is. You can do that. You can just build to your heart's content. There's no, gamification of it. But that is also just a really fun aspect. Like I enjoyed, as Nick was saying, like we kind of took on our roles. I more or less was responsible for the defenses, so I was kind of building out our perimeter and stuff like that. Not to spoil the entire series throughout the course of this last 20 minutes, but it's it's really neat to kind of fill in those roles of worker bees floating around the colony, taking care of the business.
What's really cool as well is that the leap is really like, hey, we unlock turrets. Hey, I built one turret, and then step 3 is we have a wall of turrets, all of which have ammo automatically being added into them as necessary, and they're all electrically powered.
Right.
And nothing can penetrate our defenses. But then the aliens, like level up and become more complex.
Yeah,
more
get the anti-turret measure aliens.
Yeah.
Mathas, you did not play with the group. You played a little while ago.
I played like a year ago when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked it. I enjoyed it. I played a lot of solo, I think, when it came out. I mean, you've all pretty much hit the nail on the head. Wait till you guys, like Chat's saying, wait till you guys like start doing trains and shit.
Oh God, I know, man. Like that's even more exciting than all the things we gushed about. It's like we're not just scratching the surface. We're pretty deep into it now, but we still have like a lot left to go, and that's really cool.
We're skipping trains and going straight into cruise missiles.
Oh shit!
There you go. Nuclear missiles. Just aliens.
It's a quick delivery system, man.
Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, it's man. There, like Austin said, there is a reason why 98% of the 15,000 user reviews for this game are glowing.
It's not even done.
It's not even
This
done.
is an example of a game in early access that is actually probably not needing to be in early access.
Yeah, honestly.
You could call that game out. It just is so replayable already.
Have we even really hit too many bugs? I don't think we really have.
There's some weird sound issues, but other than that, that's it.
Yeah.
Like really minor stuff. It's not like you got to the void and the game crashed and then you had to do the whole void level again. I mean, just out of random, I don't know what game that could be. But
there's $700,000 on Steam right now, too. That's great. All right, yeah, that's Factorio. It's fun. Look forward to the series. And we're going to talk about Pit People as well. It just came into early access this week. Ryan, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so Pit People is the new game from the Behemoth, who you know for Castle Crashers and Battle Block Theater and Alien Hominid. And it is a melange of a
squad-based... That's a fun word, man. Melange.
It is a melange of squad-based strategy/tactics games like Fire Emblem with a little bit of RPG progress as well, and beyond that, some elements of Pokemon. So the way that it basically works is that the low-level gameplay is on a grid. You have a team with various different classes that fights against another team, and it's turn-based. You don't really program their moves. You just kind of program, or you dictate where they're going to go to avoid using the P word, although that's literally, what you're doing on the surface. Anyway, so you just move them into an area where they're like in range of enemies, and then they attack. But you have one class that's kind of like a trapper, and then if you have cages in your inventory, you can capture enemy units and then bring them back to your town, and then they become part of your squad that you can level up and send out against other people or other teams. And you can have various different kinds of loadouts or squads, basically, depending on what team you think you're going to be going up against. And then one level up from that, it's story-based as well. So it's got this really actually high-quality animation and voice acting from Stamper, who was in Battle Block Theater as well.
Out of the park
again. He's fucking
and the
hilarious.
writing is really hilarious.
It's so good.
It's like Rick and Morty level, I think.
Gives all his blueberries to Horatio gives all his blueberries to Penelope. Whatever. Peneparella. And you just hear the guy's like, he's like,
oh god,
You did give them your blueberries, Horatio.
So you've got Stamper as like the overworld narrator, right? And he's sort of like this evil, omnipresent guy. But you've also got Stamper as the characters going, and you've got like all that interacting with the narrator, which it's so good. It's classic Behemoth. I love it.
And right now, like it's in early access and it's $15. There's only about an hour and a half of single player content. Like there is, you can play like on the overworld and go do like random battles and level your units up, bring them back to the base, try to beat like there's an ultra hard challenge in the game, basically unfair mode, where you try to like beat 3 waves of AI squads that are super tough. But the actual scripted stuff is extremely tight and well done. But there's only like 5 or 6 missions of that right now, so maybe like an hour and a half. But the kind of like overworld game, the greater, like I guess you call it like an RPG layer, is cool as well. But I really think that this has the potential to probably be the best game that the Behemoth has ever made.
Yeah, it's really fucking good. My only complaints about it so far, and I'm not that far into it, and it's not really a complaint, but it's a Behemoth thing where a lot of like the menus and stuff are very messy and they're very hard to navigate.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Just watching Ryan's video, the menus look kind of really confusing.
That's like a Behemoth thing. Their menus are always like, it was with the last game they came out with too, Battle Block Theater. I remember having a hard time deciphering the menus for a while until you figure it out.
There's very little text. It's all just like, here's pictures of what this is supposed to be.
That's the thing. Like everything is made a joke. So it's a little bit hard to navigate. But once you understand it, like the game is really good. And it had me laughing a lot. And Horatio died horrifically. And I said, all right, Horatio's son dies. And then Bear comes down and kills his son instead because Horatio wasn't down. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Or is he?
Just the fucking like the premise. It just comes out of the gate like, the things were so boring before the giant bear collided with Earth, and it's like that's where the fucking game starts.
Storms of green bear blood raining from the sky.
It's so great.
Well, it does something that like not a lot of media does, where the narrator is actually like the villain,
right?
Telling the story of what's happening, which is it's almost like a like a Lemony Snicket style of thing. But the bear is like villainous and horrible, but also kind of lovable. And it does, like spoilers for Castle Crashers, like who cares? But, at the end of Castle Crashers, you like go to space, like
right.
You get on the alien ship and you're like, I thought we were in like the Middle Ages or something. Nah. It does that, but like super early. You get,
I didn't even remember that in Castle Crashers.
UFO? It's
all right.
But they do that like in the first hour of Pit People. It's like you actually get on like a space shuttle and fly into outer space and fight like a battle out there, and then like hurtle back down to Earth, and like it's not afraid to like be absurd right off the bat, which I think is something that works out in its favor for sure.
It's awesome. I really like it. And I mean, like, if you don't like the way Behemoth does their art, this isn't going to change you. It's classic Behemoth art style. With you can like change your heroes' heads and like it's fully customizable and what you want your heroes to look like. But the gameplay is really, really solid.
So do you think at this point it just sort of feels like the Behemoth is one of those developers who they just can pick a genre, they just apply their style to it, and then they've got a sellable product?
Because they're fucking talented. Like, that's very, very good.
Well, they've got, I mean, just think about it. They've got a great artistic theme that is entirely transferable to a different IP or a different product. They've got Stamper, who can almost carry a game by himself with his performances. And you've got just, you know, the experience now, of course, with the studio. Bit People looks great. Yeah, this is another Behemoth title. I'm looking forward to it for sure. And it's hilarious.
I want to be the dissenting opinion and say, although I do think this looks fun, I would love to see them try a different style.
Yeah?
Because it's getting to feel a bit one note to me. Not that I don't enjoy the art style, but I think they could just try something else to see where they land. You know, if an artist only ever goes into one specific genre of art, they don't know what other capabilities they have.
I hear you, yeah, but I feel like they're like in their prime right now. So they've hit their niche. They know how to do it really well. This is like they're saying, like, I've only played 45 minutes, but what I've seen so far is fantastic. Like, this is a great game. So I'm kind of glad that they're sticking with what they know, at least for now. I think maybe down the road, I wouldn't be opposed to them branching out a bit, but they're you know, like, they are firmly establishing themselves as what they are and doing a great job with it. So
I'm not trying to say it's bad or anything. Just like, I guess maybe I was a bit bored by Battle Block Theater. And it was carried again by Stamper, but it's like, how many games are you going to make that are carried by Stamper and have the same kind of art?
Yeah, but Battle Block Theater, I actually agree with you, is kind of not that good.
And I was quite hyped for that, actually. I was really looking forward to Battle Block, and then it just kind of was like, oh, the multiplayer is really fun, and I kind of liked it for a few minutes. I don't know. I think Bear liked it more than us.
I did, yeah. I mean, it wasn't anything remarkable. It was a fun platformer, great co-op, and hilarious. And so, yeah, I mean, that's about what I asked for of it. But,
and this Pit People obviously has more meat to it than Battle Block. It's got more versatility. It's got more customizability.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, in that respect, I'm more interested in it as a game, but I would like to see what they did if they just went in a totally different direction, not made a game with Stamper as the narrator and didn't use that art style.
Don't put that curse on me. I want I want more Stamper narration.
No,
I want him in other games.
I agree. They're very talented. He's funny. I like the combination. Just I want to know what else they can do.
I hear you. All right. Pit People is in early access right now. You can get it for $15, which is, I think that's a deal and a half, man. That's a good price for this one.
With the caveat that
It's not done.
yes,
Right, yeah.
and like the single player content, the story content is less than 2 hours right now, but it is more than just a proof of concept. Like, it's playable for much beyond that. Whether or not you want to buy into it now or buy into it later, or maybe not at all. But when the story is actually more complete, I think is also sensible. One thing we didn't mention as well is the Pokemon style, like battling between friends. So you can you can also play the entire thing in co-op, but you can also build a squad and then compete against your friends online. So it's got kind of a multiplayer component there that seems cool. I don't know if you can actually trade units back and forth, but I think you can as well,
cool.
which is neat.
Sorry, what'd you say?
So let's do it. Tournament of Shame.
Oh, yeah. That'd be cool. We got to do a Disc Jam tournament.
Yeah, I was about to say a Disc Jam.
That's got to take priority. Do we need to do like this is a total tangent, but how about like a randomized 2v2 Disc Jam Tournament of Shame? We got to enter our names in the random number generator and assign each other teammates.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I would do it.
Yeah.
As long as Rob punishes the serve, that's fine.
Why'd you go there, man?
I was gonna say too with Pit People that there's like that arena part does that go on into its own thing? Is there like the tournament points? I don't know what you use those for apart from just like cosmetics, or is there?
I don't really know what's up with that, because right now there's the story is like you go. It has like a Darkest Dungeon thing where you like pick a mission and then you buy provisions for the mission and set off from the town to go on the mission.
Yeah.
But then in the town there's like the Coliseum. And that's where unfair mode is, where you compete against the like increasingly difficult AI squads.
Mm-hmm.
My hunch was that that's for rewards and also like online leaderboards right now. But I don't know if beyond that, that's going to be like a Kingdom Hearts style thing where it's like an alternate sort of way to level up and progress through the game while still getting new doses of content and Easter eggs or something. But I have not managed to make a squad that can beat the second level of unfair mode yet. But I also haven't been like grinding out an hour a night, so.
Do your dudes die forever when you lose them in battle?
No, they just come back. They get sent back to the town. So it's not. It's a lot easier and less punishing than something like XCOM or Darkest Dungeon for sure, which can be a positive or a negative.
It pops up the first time you lose a character. It pops up. It's like, oh, your guy died. They're gonna be back in town like nothing happened. Keep going. It's just it.
That's actually really good news for me, because that really does encourage the Pokemon-style collectathon thing.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to have them all, knowing that you can lose them out of your party forever would have made it very frustrating.
You'd never want to bring out the ones that took you forever to find, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Behind.
Too good to use syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. I didn't even think of that. That's smart.
But
I'm usually the one that's like, let them die forever.
Yeah, exactly. Have some consequences.
Maybe there could be a hardcore mode later, but like not in the main game.
I need another not Darkest Dungeon game, to be honest. Like, I've got enough permanent loss I'm dealing with on a day-by-day basis.
Nah, it's like, if you have someone that dies and they just come back, it's like, who cares?
I think for this game, like for the reasons Nick said, along with the fact that it's just sort of silly, I think it makes sense.
Oh, I mean, I like pit people, but I want every game to punish mistakes more.
So it made XCOM fun for me.
Exactly. If like your dudes got shot in XCOM and they're just like, I gotta fall back. See ya back at the base, and you're like, okay. But you're right. It's different tones for different games as well.
Are you ready for Long War 2, man?
I am beyond ready for Long War 2.
I'm excited.
Are you guys actually gonna play it?
Yes.
I will play Long War 2.
Damn, son.
I'm itching for XCOM 2 again.
Mm-hmm. I do want to note that, like, I'm all about that side quest arena kind of deal. Like the Kingdom Hearts one, I was totally obsessed with that. Getting to the Sephiroth battle, that was totally my jam. Like I've mentioned this before too. Armored Core 2 used to have that arena system that I was completely obsessed with as a kid. So I would absolutely get into that if there were a whole separate branch of tournament progression that you could get into with the new character compositions. That'd be really neat. Hopefully that's actually the case. Ruka.
He's just like, whatever.
Yeah. Oh man. Can you tell we're stalling a little bit, chat? We don't have the most the most meaty docket this week.
Ruka.
Oh man. Well, speaking of stalling, time for everybody's favorite segment after their favorite segment. It's not Nick's Weird Games. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Reel back the show. Rewind.
Yep.
It's time for everybody's favorite segment. It's Ask Roundtable. Ask Roundtable is the weekly segment. You send your questions to roundtableYT@gmail.com, and we do our best to answer them. This week's question is another viewer from Greece. Second in a row. It's Kostas.
They're so popular there.
I know, it's weird. Kostas asks, what constitutes a great fallback game for you guys? What's your personal fallback game that you come back to when you have nothing else to do?
If it has Rocket and League in the title, that's pretty much for me. No, any kind of multiplayer game that's competitive for me will always have me going back. It used to be Dota. Before then, it was Call of Duty, Halo. Like any kind of competitive experience that gives you a very good sense of like winning and achieving and getting better will always have me going back to it. And right now, that game's Rocket League for me.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's any kind of solo game that's non-competitive and doesn't really particularly go anywhere, and you can play it forever. I'm basically just framing it as the complete opposite.
Polarization there. I like it.
No, I've been going back to Shadow Warrior 2 a lot lately, trying to max out my runes as much as possible and getting cool swords and shit, because they added another mission that gives you a bunch of like specifically winter themed weapons, and I got a couple out of that, and that tells me that they're still planning on adding more post-launch content. I've enjoyed it. The game's still fun for me. Hacking and slashing and beating up demons never gets old.
My fallback game changes often. It's basically I pick one or two games that I missed over the past few years. I just haven't had time, and I'll like every so often I'll bounce to those. And right now I'm going through Doom when I have time, which I'm really enjoying. That's kind of my fallback game, and I'm still occasionally falling back to Witcher 3 and slowly plucking my way through that game. Still love it. You will beat me because you've dedicated a stream to it.
How are you approaching it, Ryan? Are you going?
How are you approaching
story
the stream?
first?
Yeah, how are you approaching
How are
it?
you approaching it?
Just playing it like however it feels right. Like I'm not much of a side quest guy to begin with, but I figure like I'll side quest if I'm not at the recommended level for a main quest, or if a side quest feels cool. Otherwise, I'll probably go for the main quest. Not to rush, but that's like how I prefer to handle it to begin with.
Are you going to tackle the DLCs as well?
They're like weaved in right now, so if
if you do all those in like main story all the way through, you're still even not side questing. You're looking at like over 100 hours.
Yeah, that's fine. People are like, "Oh, this guy's never gonna finish it." Like, how stupid do you think I am? People are like watching and subscribing and cheering. Like, I'm gonna be like, "No, this is not a good use of my time anymore." Like, people are paying me to play The Witcher 3. It's one of the best games ever made.
Right.
And you're like, I doubt his tenacity. I would have to be like, I would have to be a non-functional adult, I think, to get to the point where I'm like, I don't want to play the best game of 2015 anymore.
Excuse me, it was the best game of 2015 and 2016.
You gotta make sure you get that right. Yeah.
But I'm having like a great time with it so far. Like,
Great game.
it's been a good time.
Would that constitute your fallback game though?
No, I mean, to be honest, like, I don't really have a lot of downtime. Like, I use my downtime to like do homework
To
most of
improve
the
yourself, unlike the rest of us.
not to be pretentious about it, but like my downtime is like being away from the computer for the most part whenever I can get it. But like I try to do my dailies like once a day in Hearthstone, or at least like the equivalent of once a day. So I'll do like 3 if I haven't played it for a few days. And I mean, it's been pretty good, but mostly I've just been doing the Tavern Brawl because it's like the last 2 have been all right. And it's been like it's lower pressure. Like I have an arena run right now that's 4-0, and I'm like, I'm never touching that again. I'm just gonna lose. Why would I play that? And then the constructed mode is just like every game is like a 20-minute Reno Mage versus Reno Mage grind, and I'm like, if you lose, you're just like, well, there goes my progress for the next 12 days. So, so I would say probably Hearthstone right now. Like that's how I've been spending casual gaming time lately.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta get on those Isaac dailies. Who's that achievement for doing 31 in a row?
Yeah, I should do those like a little mini series. You have to do 5 in a row.
But win 5 and do 31.
Win 5 in a row and do 31 in a row, which is crazy.
Oh, that sucks.
They're all gonna be lost.
I don't want it to.
Every single one's gonna be keeper.
I dropped dailies. They just weren't fun for me.
To win 5 in a row is kind of, I like that. To play 31 in a row, I'm like,
That's just time consuming.
yeah.
It should just be you should play 31 total.
Yeah.
Sorry, your aunt's in the hospital. Looks like you lost half of your achievement progress. Start from 0.
Well, like, can you at least can you just like turn on the game, start the daily, and die in the first room? Will that count?
I'm just picturing like you're getting home from like your in-laws' house. You're on the highway. It's like 11:52. You're like, come on! You gotta get in there and just start the daily, and then press escape. Get out of there. Like,
I don't know. Maybe you can just die. I'm sure there will be lots of ways around it, but still, it's just I'd rather it wasn't a thing.
I think for me, the obvious one at the moment for me right now is Rocket League. Like, what makes it? What constitutes it being a great fallback game? Austin noted, if you're doing competitive or anything that's got like the progressional ranking system, obviously you have the instant feedback of progression there and improving yourself in the game. But Rocket League, I've actually just been playing unranked almost exclusively. It's just it's like a zen for me at this point, because I've put, let me like actually verify here. I've put in the hundreds somewhere, maybe, Jesus Christ, that's way more than I thought. 569 hours into Rocket League at this point. So like it's almost like an extension of me now, to where when I'm playing the game, it's just very satisfying to be able to do exactly what I want and have such a high level of control over the car. So that's like just sort of a peaceful experience at this point to do the unranked play there. The complete opposite of that was back when I was into Halo, and I was extremely competitive in that. And I think that's part of the reason why I don't do ranked stuff anymore, is because I had years of real competition to burn through that drive in me.
Well, I'm actually with you on that. Like, being competitive at a game doesn't interest me that much anymore, because you just know, like, there's no value in being almost good.
Right.
Like, there's only value in
I want to be the best.
Great. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
When I was booting up Dota, like, that used to be my fallback game for a while. But then it came to the point where booting up Dota was now stressful.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to win.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't, like, I'm not going to stop until I get a win. And then you just start tilting, and it's just miserable. You're like, well, that was a great waste of 4 hours.
For like a game and a half?
For like 3 or 4 games, yeah. Oh, God.
Man, like when I was playing Halo 3 in particular, that was when I was probably the most into it, because I was going to LANs, I was going to local tournaments and all that shit. And I would sit down for the grind, like get home from school with my 2-liter Mountain and Dew and a full bag of Twizzlers and just be ready for the fucking show, baby. I'd play like the MLG playlist. Like I'm not bragging here, though, for those of you who know what this means. I had a level 50 in the MLG playlist for a while, and I was playing on it all the time. So like I was playing with the best players in Halo, and it was intense. Like, those games every game was like a fucking nightmare of awareness that I constantly had to be involved in, and I loved it. But at the same time, I would just get so infuriated when I wouldn't do well that it was just, oh man, I just didn't want to deal with that anymore.
I had every playlist like 45 to 48. I could never get 50. So stressful.
It was. I'll tell you, man. That's right underneath 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. That day when I hit level 50 MLG, man, that was like getting married.
You're gonna hit legend in Hearthstone, Ryan. Speaking of,
never.
I will probably never get to level 5 again, because like I don't want to go on like too insular of a Hearthstone rant here, but the way that the ladder works, you like fall down to like rank 16 to 21 every month. And then you're so incentivized to only play like the fastest decks that can also win.
Right.
So, like, if you ever watch like a legend level streamer, if they want to play like Dragon Priest, they don't start playing Dragon Priest. They go like, I'm gonna play Pirate Warrior until I get to rank 5, because every game has like a 60% win rate and it takes 6 turns. And then when they get to rank 5, they play whatever they want to play. So, like.
They play hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games a month.
Yeah, exactly. I play like 2 ranked games a day, and even that is like 45 minutes, because I refuse to play Pirate Warrior just because I'm playing on it so much.
You have to believe you want.
Well, it was so good last month. Like I probably got like 10 or 12 wins this month, so I'm pretty low. But last month, literally in 45 minutes, I won like 8 games straight as Pirate Warrior, and then just got to rank 15 and playing for the rest of the month. It's they need to make like
ladder has always been a
not just play aggro.
Well, it's the ladder, as far as I know, in Hearthstone has always been a mess, because the way the game just works, people immediately find the most broken decks, and there's usually like 2 or 3, and that's all that gets played on ladder until the next expansion pack.
I mean, The meta is a little diverse right now. There's probably like 5 decks that get played.
Jade Druid, Pirate Warrior, Dragon Priest,
Aggro Shaman,
which has been around forever as well.
Reno Mage.
And Reno Mage.
Rogue sees a lot of play aggro Rogue.
Yeah. Like, it's kind of cool the way that the meta is structured right now. And I actually like queuing against Pirate Warrior because you usually beat them with Reno Mage, and they just don't have any gas after like turn 6. But then, I mean, we're getting like really into
we are getting
Hearthstone. When you get a mirror match, you're like, oh my god, it's like 25 minutes for who can pop their Reno last, and then you get the idea.
Right. Is there like a common theme, I'm wondering, of all these fallback games that we've come to a conclusion of? It's like what brings us to these in particular?
We like them a lot.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I think that's the big
I
one.
know.
Jeez.
All right, cool.
They're replayable. That's really all it is.
More or less, yeah. Sweet. All right. Well, thank you, Kostas, for the question. If you got a question, you can send it over to roundtableYT@gmail.com. I'd love to get more of those. Oh, that's the wrong overlay. There you go. There it is. Right down there. roundtableYT@gmail.com. It's time for everybody's favorite segment after their favorite segment. It's Nick's Weird Games. Here's the theme song.
Nick's Weird Games. Nick's Weird Games. Probably Japanese in an RPG. They're Nick's Weird Games. Nick's Weird Games.
Nick's Weird Games every single week. Thank you very much, Dylan, for the theme song, buddy. It's a segment wherein Nick goes to get a weird game from his... Whoops.
What the hell was that?
Nick's Weird
You
Games.
guys awake?
It's a segment. It's a segment we do. You wanna start it?
Hang on, I'm hiding chat. Hang on a second.
What was that?
I have
What
no
was
idea.
that?
Yeah, all
I
right.
think something must. I play the theme song off of SoundCloud, so it must have just like auto played whatever was next in the SoundCloud.
I find that very funny.
All right. I'm good. Chat's hidden. Let's do this.
All right, great.
All right, we're gonna play a game where I pick a game and you guess what it is. Here we go.
Here we go.
Today's PS2 game is a game that is on PS2. It came out,
So I threw you off your groove a bit here, didn't I? I'm sorry,
in
man.
2002. The game's story was supervised by fantasy writer Ryu Mizuno, so you should probably know who it is by that.
Yeah, I got that. Mm-hmm.
This was published and developed by Atlas, except for in the EU, it was published by 505 Games. It is a story-driven tactical role-playing game. Because again, like I said, we're sort of at the bottom of the barrel right now for
Final Fantasy Tactics.
no PS2. That was PS1 and
Oh, you're right. And then like
PSP. I think they made one for as well.
Devil Dice Survivor.
That's a good guess, but it isn't that. Let's see if just based on that, if Chad has already gotten it.
I'm
you
curious.
probably have. I have no doubt.
Not yet. Yeah, just start throwing out Atlas games. You'll probably hit it eventually.
Should we get a? Yeah, we haven't really got anything else, have we?
Yeah, no, I haven't really given you much yet. I was just seeing if they could just make a quick throw.
Right.
I'm just looking for good points. There was, you know what, let me read from the back of the box instead of the back
Yeah,
of
that
the
sounds like a
rules.
good idea.
No, there's very little on here, actually. Work together to launch devastating team attacks with other characters.
FIFA.
It's not that good.
Ah.
High-res hand-drawn graphics. Okay.
Oh, shit.
Is it a Shin Megami Tensei game?
No.
Okay.
No yes or no questions. What lies beyond
I bet.
this earthly existence? Over 50 hours of tactical gameplay featuring side quests and the catacombs of trial. Customize your inventory by fusing and creating items. Man, it's funny, after years and years of these games, how many of them have the exact same
Back of the box.
Like, back-of-the-box
Right,
points.
Yeah. It's certainly helping me to appreciate that. This whole segment.
It's a very white-colored box. Like, it's very light-colored, and there are some characters on it that have a very contrasty art scheme. They're very SMT-looking, actually. But they're not from SMT. This game is rated T for teen, for language, suggestive themes, and violence.
Those suggestive themes, man. Every time that was on the back of the box, it was like an instant no from my mom. It was like, no matter what, if it could have blood, violence, we're good. Suggestive
Yeah.
themes, no.
Movies?
Mm-mm.
No.
No.
I don't know. Like this.
What
is,
exactly is a suggested theme?
This guy is not weird enough, though, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's not.
I'm trying to think of tactics games, and like Disgaea and Final Fantasy Tactics are the only two that really come to mind.
Chat has gotten it at this point. Players navigate the field across a grid-based map, which can include obstacles such as bodies of water and high structures. Yeah, it's pit people, basically. Atlas version.
Oh, it is pit people. Oh, okay.
Character positioning within the environment can be used to their advantage, such as an archer gaining higher accuracy. I mean, if you played a tactics game, this is all kind of rote at this point.
Tapping out on this one. You got me.
I don't know if I'll ever get a next weird game.
I got last
action
week's, man. I'm
skills,
good.
2 or more characters in conjunction can trigger special, unique moves called team attacks. The amount of damage done depends on how many characters took part in the action.
Huh.
No.
I've actually pulled up Atlas's list of PS2 games now, and I still don't know what it is.
This game takes place in a world called Solum, which is slowly being swallowed by miasma, a mist-like substance that destroys all life it touches. Against this creeping apocalypse, several groups have developed responses. The Ake Church, led by High Priestess Lumina, believes that the miasma is God's will, which is sent to bring the world to an end. Not with a bang, but with a whimper. A warlord, I thought that said dingus. Warlord named Dignus.
Dingus. No, it is.
God, I wanted it to say dingus so badly. I almost just wanted to not reread it and just say dingus.
No, just roll. It's too late now. Just roll with it.
Warlord Dingus has taken to ravaging the countryside with his armies, imposing the law of the jungle.
The law of the
Who
jungle.
will not fight for his life does not deserve to live.
I got
There's
no
also
idea,
an
man.
alchemist named Visor, and he's using Dingus's patronage to hunt the world's spirits.
Is it
Show me.
Coro Q Works?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Today's game is called Stella Deus.
I've never seen that in my life.
Stella Deus, the Gate of Eternity. Come on, everybody knows Stella
Yo,
Deus.
this isn't
the Gate of
even
Eternity.
this isn't even
man.
on Wikipedia.
This is not bottom of the barrel. That is an incredibly weird game, and I've never heard of it. It looks
Everybody knows
incredibly
Stella Deus,
It does look incredibly Atlas.
the Gate of
Stella
Eternity.
Deus.
Wow.
Wow.
Good
man.
job.
Well
Stella
done, chat,
That's
for getting
the
that.
weirdest of games.
Yeah, the person who guessed it way earlier is scrolled off the top, so I can't give you proper recognition.
Oh.
Good job, person.
The first person I see in my chat, though, is FPTTV. I know you weren't the first, but congrats, you did get it at least.
Get
You
ready
read
to
now,
be
boys.
absolutely blown away by Stella Deus, IGN.com. Were you blown away by it, Nick?
I never played it, actually.
Oh.
I collected Atlas games for a while because I knew they were rare and I knew I would want to play them eventually, so I wanted to get them while getting was good, because
I hear
now, good luck trying to find one of these fucking things.
Right.
And I got the instruction manual. It looks all minty fresh inside. It's so good.
Yeah, man.
It's got like a booby lady on the instruction booklet, too.
Oh, suggestive.
Suggestive themes. God damn it.
All right.
Can't keep letting them get away with this. Well, hey everybody. I mean, we could do another 7 minutes of show, but what good is that going to do, right? Let's just say thanks for watching this episode of Roundtable Live. We appreciate it. Austin, thank you very much again, buddy, for being on. Where can they find you?
You can find me at twitch.tv/last_gray_wolf whenever my internet starts working again. Yeah.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
And thank you all very much for joining us. We appreciate your time here. And you can catch the VOD of the show over on our YouTube channels. That is youtube.com/BaerTaffy/RockLeeSmile/MathasGames and /Northernlion. You can also rate the show up 5 stars on iTunes. You can download the MP3 over on our SoundCloud page. And there is also a show discussion subreddit. That is roundtablepodcast.reddit.com. You can follow us on Twitter to be notified when we go live over there. That's at RoundtablePC. And we want to thank our Patreon supporters at patreon.com/roundtable. Those include Julian Avelsgard, Jonathan, Johnny Whoops Graham, Scrotty119, Faranox, Talks to Wall, Shank Tank Gaming, Chaos, the now sung hero of the Patreon page theorist, Colby Klein, Greenlight, Oren Saltzman, Christopher Flagg, Eric Schooley, Brizzlebrit, Positron, Mythscare, Mediocrities, Justin Smurfett, and Logan Ray. Thank you guys very much for your continued support over there on the Patreon page. Nearly 2 years now of running that Patreon support. I really appreciate that. We all do. And that'll do it. That'll do it for the show. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to
I mean, it was all right. It was a decent.
Yeah,
team.
like it wasn't that bad. I think overall, I'm satisfied. We're all
Stella Deus is selling for about $15 on eBay, so I actually lost money on that one.
I tell you what, man, I've been like slowly picking up like old big box PC games. That's an investment.
Yeah, really?
More money than I want to spend, but I have been. I picked up the two old. I got one of them in already. The old Dungeon Keeper games. They were like 50 plus a pop for like good condition, big box with everything in it.
I'm still.
Don't leave them in the sun though. The sun will bleach the boxes and break the plastic and shit on them. It
stays in my bookshelf.
I've learned not to do that, and they're all crumbling over there.
I remain salty that my Black Label copy of Misadventures of Tron Bonne is still like $300 now. All right, thanks for watching this episode of Roundtable Live. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Later.